Welcome to Bitter Reality Brewing. Today we're doing a clone. We're going to do a Weyerbacher Merry Monks, and we're actually doing it from the yeast that we stole out of this exact bottle and reproduced so that we can then recreate the beer with its own yeast, which is very important in the flavors of any kind of Belgian style beers, Trappist beers, whatever you want to call them. Don't forget, like, subscribe, keep sharing. Definitely appreciate the support. It's huge. We're going to do this very old school. And if you didn't see the first video, go back where we stole the last quarter ounce, shook it up, got the yeast out of it, and we made multiple yeast starters, and boom, I have the yeast that Weyerbacher Merry Monks uses. I don't know if it's White Labs, I don't know if it's Weist, or I don't know if maybe it's some house yeast that they've come up with over time from blending yeasts. That's very common too. So I'm going to set what we used before, which is the DME and the Weist Yeast Nutrient aside. We're going to set the yeast starter aside because I'm going to have to drain off some of that beer. I don't want all that beer, I just want the yeast. But we're going to do a very small batch. I got the information off of Homebrew Talk where a gentleman actually showed a piece of paper that he got from the brewery. No. Do I have anything to say it's legit? No. Do I suspect it's not? No. There's no reason to. This is going to be really easy for anybody who is either brand new to brewing or just wants to do something old style, should we say, old school, however you want to call it. If you got a fancy all-in-one, or you got multiple systems, you got a rims, whatever you got. Yeah, we're just going to do this in the kitchen. I might not even use a brew in a bag. Yes, you're going, what? Yeah, I might not even use a brew in a bag. All I have is 2 pounds and a quarter. So 2 pounds, 4 ounces of Pilsner malt. And then we're going to add 6 ounces, 6 ounces of corn sugar. Debating on table sugar, but I got plenty of corn sugar. So, and then we're going to pitch that yeast. I'm also excited because I'm going to use this as far as for my fermenter instead of one of my 1 gallon glass jugs that I have tons of, just because I haven't used it and I figure I need to break it in, should we say. Got my malt grinder, malt smasher, whatever you want to call it. That's it. Nothing special. Home pots, home cooking stuff. Everything's easy. Let's get brewing. Okay, we're sitting at 153 Fahrenheit. I'm going to mash in, which should bring us down to about 149, 150. I'm looking for about 149 Fahrenheit. Got a little bit of brewing salts. Yes, for a 1 gallon batch, because I'm doing distilled. You can do spring water if you want. That's not a problem. I almost did. But it's 0.5 of a gram of gypsum, 0.4 of Epsom salt, and 0.3 of calcium chloride. So let me get that in there. And somebody mentioned doing this in cold water. I just forgot until just now, but it is what it is. Not a big deal. I'm thinking I want to boil in the bigger one, so I'm going to go ahead and dump this in here. It's a full gallon. And you got to have the right tools for the job, so I got my mini paddle. Okay, and here we go. And then we'll add the 0.6 or 6 ounces of corn sugar, of course, in the boil towards the last part of the boil. Okay, let me get a quick temp on this, see where we're at. .7. Awesome. Okay, it's going up a little bit. I'm good. We're going to cover it. I'll check the temperature periodically, and we'll let that sit, and hopefully it'll stay pretty close to that temp. Okay, we're going to let that sit for 90 minutes. I didn't see any mash times, 60, 90, whatever. We're going to do 90 minutes, and then when we go to do the boil, that's a 60-minute boil because they said if you boil it for 90, you get a little more reaction and basically maillard, if I can say that word, but basically caramelization, and we don't want that. So we'll let that sit for 90 minutes, and then we'll sparge and mash out. And yes, I'm going to sparge even without a bag. And as you can see, there is no bag. We are just letting the grains float. I'm all good with it. Don't need to sit and make it overcomplicated. Okay, we're sitting at 148 Fahrenheit, so it's gone down a degree. I'm not worried about it. We've got about 6 more minutes before we have to move it over and start sparging. And I've got about a half a gallon of water heated up. It's actually cooling because I overheated it, of course. And what we're going to do is we're going to dump it in this colander and strain it, sparge, and rock on. And then we'll boil it and we should be good. Okay, and this is just how easy it is. I'm going to take it and dump it in here. Empty pot, empty colander. And then we have some grain in here, not a big deal. Take the sparge water, dump some in there, swirl it around, splash it on the floor, you know, whatever. And then pour it over the grains, nice and slow. The rest of the sparge water, just slowly pour it. Little trick, dump it in here. There we go. Now I can control the pour a little better. Okay, we're gonna let that strain for a little bit. Gonna heat it up and get it close to a boil. And once we start boiling, we'll continue on. Okay, I'm gonna call that a rolling boil. We're gonna drop our hops in, which is 0.32 of an ounce of Saaz for the 60-minute, and then we have another one towards the end, I believe the last 5 minutes. And I had to go up from 0.30 to 3.2 because my alpha was, instead of 3.0 or 3.2, was 3.0. A little trade of the numbers back and forth. We take this, Saaz hops, literally 0.32 of an ounce. Drop it in there. And it will, like I said, a 0.32 at the very end too. We'll drop it in there. Just do something like this just to keep it from falling in. And that's it. We're gonna let that boil. Rock and roll. Okay, we're on the last 5 minutes, technically 4, so we're gonna go an extra minute. I'm gonna dump in the corn, sugar. Not actual corn, it's corn sugar. Give that a quick stir just because I don't want to scorch the bottom. And we'll grab the hop bag and throw the last 0.32 of an ounce. Nothing. And it's Saaz, so Saaz is very low. It's only a 3.0 alpha acid for the ones I have. Got some 3.2 somewhere, I couldn't find them. There we go, and we got about another 4 minutes to go, and we'll let that go. And then we'll start chilling it down. I grabbed this out of the, I'm not so sure. I've cleaned the hell out of it, and it still looks a little sketch, but copper coil I made myself. It's for 1 gallon chilling. I might use it. It's clean. Okay, here we go. We're done. We're gonna kill the heat. Instantly, it's off the heat and not boiling. Move it into a slightly smaller pot and we'll put it in there and start chilling it down, which is a sink, like most people have. And I'll move everything around so you can see. Okay, got the water running. We're down to 125 Fahrenheit and dropping. I got my little homemade pump or homemade coil, the little fish pump going. Moving some water over to a cooler side, chilling it that way. Got some cooler shock or whatever you want to call it, cold packs in there. And I'm adding a little bit more water to it. We'll get it cooled down and then we'll go ahead and pitch the yeast. Okay, let's take some wort and make some beer. The Weyerbacher's Merry Monks. Move this off. It's got a little marking here. You can't see it, but I can feel it. And it's like just literally right at the 1 gallon, maybe a hair below, but I'm all good with it. Strained off some excess wort here for beer, since technically the yeast already probably eaten most of it. It smells really good. Got all kinds of fruity smells and just a little sweet smelling, but we'll see. I'm just gonna dump the whole thing on in. Can always steal some more yeast later. And do it again. Could steal it from this. There we go. Okay, I'm going to cover this up. I'm going to stick it in at around 68 degrees Fahrenheit. Figured somewhere around there is good. And we're going to let it go to 10. It's a little tight and a little harder than I'm used to working with, but that's okay. And it looks like we dripped some water from the thing. I'm all good. It's all good. Okay, let's ferment it and see what it tastes like. Thank you again for joining us, Bitter Reality Brewing. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and don't forget part 3 where we will be doing a tasting test.